This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis. It's the Morning Majlis.
Good morning and welcome back on to the Morning Majlis. Now we are talking about the second Cervical Cancer Forum that took place here in the Emirate of Sharjah. We talked about accelerating action on HPV and cervical cancer. That was what we discussed. And cervical cancer was the fourth most frequent cancer affecting women, with an estimated 570,000 new cases in the year 2018, representing 6.6% of all female cancers globally. But now, with the accelerating action was the key topic for this year, and to discuss this in greater detail in terms of who attended, what happened, getting all the highlights, we have Dr. Sawsan Al Madhi. She is the Director General of FoCP. A very good morning to you, Dr. Sawsan.
Good morning.
Well, it's great to have you here on the program with us. And Dr. Sawsan, I've got to ask you and start off with the key themes that we saw during the discussions at this year's forum.
Yes, first of all, thank you very much for hosting me, and thank you for having an interest in what Friends of Cancer Patient does. Of course, this is part of our advocacy endeavors. And as you have rightly said, this is not the first forum that we host. We actually hosted the first one back in January 2019. The good old days when you used to have face-to-face conferences. But the thing is, why January? I think I want to start with that because lots of people are not aware that January is the Cervical Cancer Month, Global Awareness Month. All of us, we know that October is the Pink October. It's related to breast cancer awareness. But really, across the year, every month actually is marking some sort of an awareness campaign, or there are days for also speaking about global event like tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the World Cancer Day. So January was very important to us. After the success of the first forum, which was in 2019, which was under the title Turning the Tide on Cervical Cancer and HPV, we had a very big declaration that came from Sharjah. It was called Sharjah Declaration 3x3. And that Sharjah Declaration was a very important milestone in the endeavor of the global advocacy against breast cancer. Now, why there is a big interest in cervical cancer? Why there is a big interest in cervical cancer is because cervical cancer, it's the only cancer that can be prevented. It's the only cancer that, if detected early, can have a cure rate of 100%. And it's the only cancer that has a survival rate as well of very high. So it's one of the few cancers that has a great survival rate and has early detection as well. So this is why cervical cancer is a very important, and to have women dying globally, and especially in our region, the estimated death rate was 6,000 women dying every year. That's unacceptable. Of course, after the declaration of Sharjah, which was declared in 2019, there was a global effort which culminated in last November 2020, when the WHO actually initiated the Global Cervical Cancer Elimination Initiative. And cervical cancer is the only cancer that you speak about elimination. Other cancer like breast cancer, colon cancer, you speak about controlling the cancer, but you don't speak about eliminating. And I think this is a huge thing. If we can eliminate at least one type of cancer, then we are on the right step. One of the things that people discussed in the forum was reflecting on 2019 and reflecting on the 2 years in between. And I think the big theme and the big highlight was the COVID situation, because the COVID actually showed us a live example of if policymakers, government, and there is a political will to do something, it can be done. And you can actually gather resources and gather effort to really make sure that you control an outbreak or control a situation. And it is possible. So why can't we also have the same effort in eliminating cervical cancer as a global now issue? And it is costing life, and it is costing lots of money to control control it.
So, Dr. Sawsan, going back to the global cervical cancer strategy that was passed and adopted by about 194 governments at the November 17th, the 2020 World Health Organization's World Health Assembly. And basically, this strategy, it aims to erase cancer of the cervix 3 ways by the year 2030, which is 9 years from now. So can you talk to us more about that, and how can we achieve this strategy and the aims of this strategy, and why is it so important?
So the strategy was called, as you rightly said, the strategy aims at 2030 to eliminate. So it's not controlling, it's eliminating, which means there is no cervical cancer. Supposedly after 2031, 2030, we should not have a cervical cancer issue or an outbreak anywhere in the world. Now the document or the strategy was very simple. It focused about 3 things. It focused about 90%, 70%, 90%. So 90% of girls should be vaccinated from the HPV. And what is HPV? It's the human papilloma virus. So cervical cancer is caused by a virus. And the prevention method for the virus is to get vaccinated. And this vaccine has been around for almost 10 years now. By making sure that young girls, and I mean high school, teenage girls at that age, getting the cervical cancer or the HPV vaccine, by 90% coverage, then you will make sure that by that year 2030 you will be getting the coverage needed. Then they will not get the cervical cancer. The 70% is for women that needs to be screened. So women need, at least in a population, 70% of the women you need to cover by screening. And then the last 90% is the treatment. So 90% of women has to have access to treatment. And that was something actually that we mentioned that was a whole theme in the forum, is that how can you provide continuum of care? So continuum of care is not just, awareness, early diagnosis, screening, treatment, even getting chemotherapy, radiotherapy if needed, but also access to palliative care if needed. Now, we don't want to reach to palliative care because palliative care means we couldn't treat the cancer, we couldn't cure the cancer, and now we are only working on making sure symptoms and the woman is living a comfortable life, that the quality of her life also is not interrupted, and there's nothing else to be done. So we don't want to reach that, but also we need to make sure that people do get the access to that. And the most important thing is survivorship. Is a woman gets a cervical cancer, what's next? How it can be integrated again for the community? How can I have a normal life as a woman, but also as a productive individual in the community? So this is the 3 pillars, which is 90%, 70%, and 90%. And it's really, for us, it's a proud moment when that elimination strategy was initiated, because lots of what has been said in elimination strategy was actually based on the Sharjah Declaration 2019, which was actually 3 by 3. So it was a 3 pillars that needs to be done in order to achieve 3 things, which is basically the same as the 3 pillars for the WHO elimination.
And Dr. Sawsan, can you elaborate on the HPV aspect to this? So to the public listening, could you elucidate, first of all, is HPV common? How likely are we to have HPV? How should people go about getting their screenings done? Can you just sort of elaborate on all of those aspects?
Of course. So human papilloma virus is a virus, but it is contracted through sexual activity. So it's not something that you can get when somebody coughs or sneezes. No. So this is why we advocate that girls at a younger age, because they can actually have that immunity just before they go into adulthood and, have their complete range of, normal life activities. So that's how a person can get it. Now, it doesn't differentiate. It doesn't differentiate between girls and boys. It doesn't differentiate between men and women. Most common infection happen actually when it's a man that gives it to a woman, to be honest. And this is where there is a lot of advocacy right now to even give the vaccine to boys at a younger age to produce that immunity that helps them later on in their adulthood life. Now, this is how you can get it. Now, how you can prevent it is, and how can you, of course, human papillomavirus doesn't just cause cervical cancer, but also it causes the warts, the genital warts. It causes other issue as well. But of course, the most sinister one is the cervical cancer. And again, and the only way, as we know, in any virus, if you want to prevent that, then there is a vaccine and it's available. What I want to also highlight is going back to the WHO elimination strategy, they mentioned 90% of girls should be fully vaccinated. Now, we got the latest statistic from the United Arab Emirates, and we showcased that, which was in 2019 and 2020, which shows almost 84% coverage rate of cervical cancer, of HPV vaccine in UAE, which is huge. I mean, UAE is a pioneer now in elimination, and that was of cervical cancer, and that was actually showcased as a best practices during the forum last week.
Really incredible work. And was it very different to do it very virtually this time round? What were the key challenges, do you think, when it came to having this organized and getting everyone on board?
Well, I'm a kind of person who looks at the half full glass, not the half empty one. And I think virtually was actually really good experience for us because if I compare, the forum this year, 2021, with the forum 2020. In 2020, we had it physically. We had amazing group of policymakers, especially from the UAE and from our region. And we had lots of, media influencers, but we couldn't, but because of the venue, I mean, and that was a success back then. It was like almost 150 people who attended, which for us, that was like, whoa, it's a great success. For virtually, we had almost 1,000 registration. And every day we had around 500 to 400 people attending. So I think from an outreach perspective, and that's what you want from a forum, that actually the main objective of it is create advocacy and create that momentum, is you want people to attend. The other thing that we found it very interesting as well is that the number of speakers that we could actually host globally. We literally had speakers from the UK, from US, from Philippines, from our region, of course. So we had a very diverse group of speakers. And to be honest, if we want to do that physically, that would cost us a lot because you have to invite them, travel, accommodation, etc. But then the only thing that they had to contribute was actually their time. And I believe, virtually helped a lot for us to be able to expand beyond our region border and get people from abroad as well, where maybe face-to-face that would have been challenging.
And Dr. Sawsan, Friends of Cancer Patients, you guys are doing so much work. Can you talk to us about what you're looking forward to as part of your awareness programs, your beneficiary programs? What should people look forward to, and where can they seek these valuable information that you guys provide all the time?
I would actually advise that people follow us on our social media outlets at FoCP UAE. It's the same name for our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We have the same thing. So if you can just follow us, you'll always have what's new, what we're doing next, what's the update. We are preparing a really good now short videos and documentaries that we're going to launch tomorrow for the World Cancer Day. And really, we want to highlight the voice of the patient. And again, that was a major theme in the forum as well, which is the voice of the survivor, the voice of the patient. And another major theme that was as well, which I was personally very proud of, is adding how media can collaborate into spreading the word, which again, not just mainstream media, but also, social media and other new age media. So I think if my last word would be on the show would be, follow us on our social media, and you will really know what is going on, and also we partner with lots of credible resources, so you'll always get information that is credible and from a good resource.
I'd like to get your thoughts and a statement for the World Cancer Day about the importance of it, why it is important to be observing it, and what does FoCP have got in store to observe the day. So if I can get that as well, would be great.
Yeah, of course. For us, every day is World Cancer Day. at FoCP.
That's true.
It's not just 4th of Feb. This is number one, but also number two, there is another event that I would love to start advocating for and also observing. It is the Gulf Cancer Week. So all the GCC countries, NGOs like us, civil society like us, come together for the first week of Feb. So for us, we started advocating for, cancer and prevention and control and everything from the start of Feb. But of course, World Cancer Day had got lots of momentum. I would just like to say that if anything we have learned from the pandemic is that really health is very precious, and maybe
Definitely.
we have been taking health for granted for so long. And how to stay healthy beside your lifestyle choices, which should be a good one, is also taking care of those early signs that we usually ignore. If you feel tired, no, I'm going to sleep it off, or it continues, it's okay, maybe I'll just pop up some vitamins. Get checked. You don't know. And I'm not just talking about cancer, I'm talking about everything else. So, and one more element that I would like to highlight is mental health. So I think World Cancer Day this year will be focusing a lot on mental health, because we know that mental health and having that moral support for cancer patients is very important. So I think now it's becoming even more essential.
Well, thank you for joining us, Dr. Sawsan, and it was a really insightful discussion that we've had today, and we look forward to seeing you in the studios physically at some point soon as well.
Inshallah. I got my vaccine.
Brilliant.
So you should do that.
We will, inshallah.
Encouraging the people for sure. Thank you very much again for joining us. And this was our discussion with the Director General of the Friends of Cancer Patients Society about the Cervical Cancer Forum, and also about the World Cancer Day that is going to be observed across the globe tomorrow. Stay with us on the Morning Majlis. We shall return right after the business news headlines, and we'll continue the discussions from there on. You're listening to the Morning Majlis, only on Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of the Morning Majlis, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.
Pulse